What's up, y'all? So this class, we're going to be going over starting your trading year right. And this isn't necessarily something that has to be done at the beginning of the year. But as we know, it's human nature to oftentimes connect change to, things that are going on. Like, oh, this week I'm going to do something different. This month I'm going to do something different. I'm going to, whatever, new year, new me, new year resolution, whatever it might be, right? So what I wanted to do was talk about some things that really can be implemented anytime in the year, but some things that I believe if you get these, kind of under control, you start working on these things, then you'll have a better year than you did last year with trading. Okay, so let's kick to it. Numero uno, one, lovely trade log. All right, we talked about it before. I'm gonna talk about it again, and I want you to think about as well kind of putting yourself in the mindset of the type of person or the type of trader you want to become, right? Not looking at where you are, not looking at your past, not looking at mistakes you made, not, oh, I did this yesterday, right? Whatever. But think about here's where I want to get to. And then let's think about the things that can help me get there sooner and things that can take me further away from that. Right. And we want to do things that can help us get there sooner and do less things that take us away. Right. Simple example, you trying to get in shape, things that help us get in shape sooner, the gym, proper rest, proper nutrition, right? Things that take us further away, not going to the gym, lack of sleep, poor diet, stress, right? You want to make sure that you're maximizing the things that are going to push you further, minimize the things that are going to pull you back. And another way to look at things, and when you start looking at stuff with trading, not just looking at it on the charts, but looking at it more of like conceptually, it makes stuff a lot easier and it flows a lot smoother. It's not this big bad chart and these big bad candlesticks. It's just, oh, okay, so when it goes down to 100, people buy it. Okay, so, okay, cool. Right, that's all support is, right? That's all demand is. People buy it. Easy to know, okay, right? So think about the level higher of what you want to be. And if you can just do some of those things that the people higher than where you are do, then naturally you inevitably have no choice but to move up, right? So if you're thinking that, for example, getting in shape, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do really if I wanted to be in shape. Okay, what would a person who is a bodybuilder or a fitness model or whatever the case is, a professional athlete who has to maintain their body a certain way, well, what would they do? Okay, well, they probably have a trainer, right? And they meal prep or they have somebody who cooks their meals, but they have very specific things that they eat. Okay, they have a workout regimen that they follow down to the exercise based on the day of the week it is. They do this and this type of training. They have some sort of, recovery phase, right? And so you could say, okay, wow, that's a lot of stuff. I'm not trying to be no pro, but if I do some of those things, then I have no choice but to start to excel and get closer to my target, which might be less than that. Okay, I don't need a chef making all my meals, but I can certainly create a meal menu for myself or have a diet for myself or meal prep for myself, right? I don't have to go to the gym and work out for 3 hours or however long, but I can certainly have a routine of going 3 times a week, right? So think about that. And then think about, even if you don't know anybody, try to put yourself in the mind. I don't know no bodybuilders, but I can imagine what they would do. Put yourself in the mind of somebody who's a professional trader, right? Okay, you might not want to be a professional trader, but do you think professional traders keep logs of their trades? Most likely, right? Most likely they are logging what they're doing. They're logging and keeping track of what they do so that they can go back and review what they've done if they ever need to. They know what the market was like when they did, what they did, why they did it, how they did it, etc. Right? And so you can say, okay, oh yeah, I know that's something they do. Maybe I can start with that, right? So I would encourage and implore all of you to start using a trade log. Personally, when I've used my trade log and I made it public, every single time, 80% win rate or more for the month, and 200, 300, 400+% return on the account every single month that I've done a public trade log. Other than that, I can't give exact numbers because I didn't log them, right? But that is one thing that if you start keeping track, and we have people who have been in the group who can attest to it, you get to see more easily what's going right and what's going wrong, right? And it's a way of having yourself be accountable, because now you can still look back and say, yo, I knew I shouldn't have did this. And I can see my mistakes, right? I know this is why this trade didn't work out. I know that when I trade these reversal patterns, it usually don't work for me. And you can go and figure out why it's not working for you. Are you reading the pattern wrong? You know, what is it about it that's causing you to lose? You know, if you're seeing that in your trades, you know, you're hitting one big win and 5 losses, why is that? Are you structuring it up like that? Or is that something that's just coming, right? So having a trade log is one thing, but I would also say include a component for your account as well, right? And we have trade log examples in our channels in the basic stock education section. And if you need it, you know, somebody can point you to it in the Discord. But keeping track of those things, you can more easily pinpoint, yo, this is what I need to fix. This is where I need to improve. And you can start making those shifts so that you're not going from January to February making the same mistakes, or from February to March, March to April, right? You don't want to be in the same spot in 5 months as you were beginning of the year, right? So that's number one, trade log. 2 is having a steady trade system, right? And this is one of the things that we have a lot of people in the group who bounce around from strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy to indicator to indicator to indicator to indicator. You know, and it's kind of like that shiny new thing where you hear somebody and, oh, this person's successful, you know, Jordan's successful and he does this, I'm gonna do that. Oh, there's Moody's successful and he does that. Oh, I'm gonna go over there and do that. Oh, there's Kim's successful, I'm gonna go over here and do that. Oh, there's Zay, and I'm gonna go over here and do that, right? And that ties to number 3, which something I said on the Zoom before, is that you can't get consistent results with inconsistent actions. So if you want to trade consistently, profitably, you're going to be hard pressed by switching what you're doing and being inconsistent. So for the beginning of the year, you know, Q1, trade one way. Whatever style of trading you did the best with last year, which would be very easy to identify if you kept a log, right? Do that for Q1 of this year is what I would think would make the most sense. And if you don't know what that system is, or that trading pattern or strategy is, think about it through this way, right? And this is what I was saying, like, think about trading more on like a conceptual level, and it gets a lot easier because it's not just trading, right? So think about it in a way of, if there was one strategy I had to use, or one way of creating my trades, or one way of finding my trade, there was only one way I could trade, what would it be, right? And if you ask any trader, you know, they'll probably have one, maybe two, depending on the trader, but there's like this one, okay, yeah, if I couldn't do nothing else, I'm trading this. That's it. If I couldn't do anything else, this is what I'm doing, right? Whether it's strat related, whether it's candlestick related, whether it's patterns, bull flag, bear flag, right? Whether it's seasonality, whatever it is, right? If there was nothing else, I'm trading this. If it's your trend lines, whatever, right? So understand that and develop that. And while I'm going, I encourage y'all, put it in the chat, right? What one strategy are you going to stick with for the beginning of this year? One strategy, one focus, one thing. You're not going to get to where you want to get to if you are going in a bunch of different directions. You can't get to a destination like that, right? So pick one thing. And when you hone that thing, then you get cold at it, right? Examples in the group. Moody, strat, right? He knows his patterns, he knows his candlesticks, which are important as well. But you continuously, you know it's the strat, right? Quinn, trend line, 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 right? And that's one strategy. And it works. And when you hone that one thing, you're good. Then you might get a little bored and you like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this with my main, most of my money will be this one strategy, but I'm gonna still go do something else because I get a little antsy. I want to have a little fun. I like trying new things, developing new stuff, right? But I see y'all in the chat with it. But that's what I would suggest you do as far as this year, because you don't want to have another year of inconsistency. You don't want to have the roller coaster account that this week you up 1,000 and next week you're down 800. Then the week after that, you're up 250. Then the week after that, you're down 400. And your account's just going up and down like a roller coaster, right? When you develop one thing that you're focusing on until you can develop other things, right? If you choose to, but you realize you don't need to, right? And that's the separation for people who, like me, like I just love trading. And I'm like, okay, what else can we do? You can do it like this. Can I do it like that? Like I like creating strategies. So, if you're just like, yo, I just want some money for my car payments, right? Then in that case, bro, find you one thing and just stick with it. Everything that we're telling y'all works, but you have to make sure that you just stick to one thing so that it can work for you, right? I was thinking about this yesterday. The other day, I walked like 3 miles. I was talking to somebody in the group, and it was clicking for me when they were saying something about like having one set system, or one process, and how we have all these different things that we teach y'all. But I was like, man, if I was on the basketball team and one coach was telling me, yeah, when you're shooting, square up with the rim, feet shoulder width apart, shoulder square, one hand under the ball, guide hand straight, and bring it up to your chin level. And another coach is like, yeah, bring it up above your head. And one coach is like, have the ball in front of your face. And one coach said, it don't matter if your body is square. And one coach is shoot on the way up in your jump shot. One coach is shoot at the top of your jump shot. It leads to confusion, right? It leads to confusion. It leads to inconsistent results on the court, right? And that's what you don't want in your trading. You don't want confusion and inconsistency. So instead, what you would do is, cool, I understand there are tons of ways to skin a cat, whatever the phrase is, right? Cool, I understand there are many different paths to becoming a profitable trader, right? First, I need to understand what all profitable traders have in common. That's first. Before you worried about these fair value gaps, before you worried about these Fibonacci retracements, before you worried about whatever else new thing that you didn't heard that you didn't hear about last week, so now you want to go ask a ton of questions about it. Do I have a fair understanding of how to manage my risk with my account? Do I control how much I can lose on my account per day, per week, per month? Do I have a fair understanding of how I'm sizing positions? Do I have a fair understanding of how I can understand when I need to get out of a trade based on what's going on in the trade? Do I have an understanding of market events that can cause my trade to get messed up, right? Because ultimately it can happen. If you didn't know that CPI data was this week and you were in a swing and you were heavy and CPI comes out and it screws your swing up, well, damn, So depending on what you're doing, you need to make sure you have that in your head, right? So a steady trade system, your trade log, right, needs to be something that going into the new year, you do. It's not that hard to keep up with your trades. It takes you an extra 5 minutes per trade, but your extra 5 minutes per trade is going to contribute to you being able to have longevity as a trader. Because the goal isn't to make $1 million in a day. The goal is to be able to continue to trade, right? That's what I'm saying? Like that's part of it. It's like I want to make sure that regardless, I'm still good to trade the next day. That's how you avoid blowing your account, right? Number 4 is one new skill, right? So as you're developing there's still going to be something else that you will pick up. And when I say this, I'm not saying this to say be inconsistent. What I'm saying is, with all the new things you hear about this year, right? All the new things we teach you, and we start talking about level 2 and order flow and time and sales, whatever, because y'all want to learn about all these 30 different things, but you're still blowing your account. No, I'm gonna pause on that. I apologize. Again, have an understanding of the foundation before trying to do 50 different things. All right. Level 2 don't matter if you don't know how to manage your sizing on a trade. It don't. All right. So let's please shift our focus to bring it on down. Before you try to be like Steph shooting half-court shots, learn how to bring the ball down the court without getting ripped. All right. But one new skill. So you are going to have opportunities to learn new things. Pick one. Just have one. Even if it's the first thing, whatever it is, take one and get so good at it that you could be like, yo, Jordan, I could teach a class on this. Legit. Right? Get to the level where you are so good at this one thing that you could run a Zoom on here and it could stand on its own. Right? Not like you need to do it, but that when you're at that level, now you know, yo, I got this down. Right? One thing, one new skill, one new process, get it down, whatever it is, risk, account management, sizing, rolling positions, Greeks, whatever, fundamental analysis, whatever it is, right? Understanding dividend stocks and finding good dividend investments, whatever it is for you, develop that thing and develop it so much so that if it gets brought up, you don't say, yeah, I kind of know a little bit about that. But you can be like, oh, you talking about dividend stocks? Oh, bop, 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 bop. Right? I don't know if I don't think Dennis on here. Dennis usually get on here later. Me and Dennis was out to eat last week. Me and Dennis was out at dinner. And I walked past these guys talking at the bar. I was going to the restaurant, walked past these guys. I heard a dude say, yeah, man, I should have held them calls longer. And I stopped. I was like, hurt. And then I stopped. I didn't, it's so funny. I just completely stopped. I didn't move. I just paused. And then he was still talking. He was like, yeah, man, I should have held it. I should have day traded, but I scalped it. And I was like, oh, y'all talking about trading. What's up? Right. And we started talking, and funny enough, they actually recognized me from Instagram. But my point being is that I could have that conversation with them and we could talk about trading. All right. And I was talking to them, and there was some stuff that I was saying to them. They were like, whoa, wait, whoa, slow down, bro. Hold on, whoa. You know, it was a group of them, but you want to be at that level where you can have conversations and hold up in conversation about whatever this stuff is. All right. So until you can do that about anything, you don't need to be trying to grab all this stuff. Leave the fair value gap alone. Leave the Fibonacci retracements alone. Leave the strat alone. Leave the RSI alone, the MACD alone, until you can hold your own about until you can hold your own and lay out solid principles for not blowing your account. Look at Moody. But until you can, if you can't sit here and unmute yourself and be like, here's how I make sure I don't blow my account by doing this, this, and this. If you can't do that, then you need to focus on that first, right? And so that's for whatever new skill you develop, okay? Focus on developing one skill at a time so you actually get good at it and you're not semi-decent at a bunch of stuff and don't make no real progress, all right? Number 5, member's choice, right? So y'all put in the chat before we started the class. I asked y'all to put in the chat what y'all thought some new things y'all needed to do for the new year would be, new concepts, new ideas. All right, so we're gonna run down. Number 1, you don't have to hit 100%. All right, so that's what I was thinking about when I was talking to somebody earlier. Kim, I was talking to Kim earlier about that, about roller coaster accounts is what we call them. All right, people who, you know, you're trying to get those bangers and you get one and now your account's up because you over leveraged on that trade. And then you over leverage on another trade, and now your account's down, and then your account's up, and then your account's down, and your account's up. Right? You don't have to hit 100%. All right. What you want to look at is making sure that you're trading the move, right? You're trading the pattern, you're completing the process. Um, right. That's what you need to do. Not let me try to get a big play because whatever, I want to post the biggest percentage in the group chat today, you know, or oh man, I want to go on a vacation tomorrow and I need $3,000. So I only got 1,000 in my account. So I got to triple it today. So I'm gonna put it all on this trade and hopefully it goes because Moody called it out. And I know it's gonna go. Right. You need to make sure, yeah, you need to make sure you're not doing that. Right. And think about and understand the compounding effect when you know that the growth of like the market, year over year, 10% or whatever, and it can grow over time, right? If you put your money, you put $100 in the S&P 500 every month, by year 65, you'll be a millionaire, right? We already know that whole jive. So if you can do that, but if you can knock that down from a 10 to 11% gain per year to 10 to 11% per month, then instead of it taking 65 years or whatever for you to get your million, now it might only take 10 or whatever, right? I didn't do the math, right? But now it might only take 10. Is it worth 10 years to get your million? I mean, you might want it in 5. You might want it in 1, right? But I feel like once you should be able to confidently say if you in this group, you can get 10% on your account in a month. If you feel like you can't say that, DM me. I'll respond to the DM today. My point being is understand what you're doing and why you're there, and just complete the reason you're there. You're not trading. We're not having a trading contest to see who can hit the biggest trade of the year, right? The goal is I'm trying to make an extra $500 a month because that's my car insurance payment. That's it, right? I don't have to make that in a day if that's going to cause me to be too risky, right? So I want to safely do it. And if I build up, 5% per week, then cool, right? But don't focus on the numbers. Don't focus on P&L. Focus on capturing the move. Focus on being right. If you can be right more in the market, your P&L gonna go. It's gonna follow along as you being right. Focus on being correct. Focus on catching the right trades. Focus on having a proper stop loss. Focus on having proper targets, and you will find that your account will go the same way. All right, controlling greed. A lot of these things are going to come down to you as an individual. All right. You'll notice with the market that people interact with the market the same way they interact with themselves, the same way they interact with others, same way they interact in life. People who are emotional in life are emotional in the market. People who have no discipline in life are undisciplined in the market, right? And I've seen it, and I know it because not only have I experienced it during certain phases of my life, but I've seen multiple people who have military backgrounds come into the market, and it just click, and they're like, oh, okay, so like this, all right, yeah, like that, okay, yeah, I'm doing this, and that's it. They just do it. That's what I'm doing, right? And I've seen people who great students in college or teachers or whatever come in and they learn stuff quickly because that's how they are, right? So if you want to start getting better at controlling greed, I think aside from the market, it starts with you as a person, right? Because you wouldn't be greedy with the market if you didn't have a greed problem as an individual. It's not possible. How could you be greedy in the market if you're not a greedy person, right? So that's one don't get greedy, get out, right? So that's one of those things where you just have to take note of yourself. And part of controlling greed is having a stop, like having stopping sense. All right. That was one of my downfalls when I was doing stuff was I didn't have no stopping sense. And so I'm like, oh snap, I just did that. Oh, I'm about to blow this thing up. And then it would end up blowing up on me. And I'm like, damn, I should have stopped. Right. So having stopping sense, and just creating that ability to walk away, right? Having a hard stop, having a cool, once I do this certain thing, check, that's done, that's it. Right. Anything else would be a new thing that I'm starting anew. Um, having, as far as trading goes, having a order to pull you out the trade, right? You can't be greedy about a trade that you're no longer in. So if you get in and you say, I'm getting out at 30%, I would rather you get out at the price target, but whatever. And you get out at 30%, you set an order for 130 on a position you got filled at for 100, it pulls you out, right? Getting off the charts, right, can help you stop being greedy. Stop comparing yourself to other people can help you to not be greedy, because you see that such and such person had this profit, and now you like, dang, I want to have that profit too. Such and such made $1,000 this day. Dang, I want to have $1,000 a day too, right? You'll notice that our analysts don't be posting profits. One of the reasons that we don't be posting profits like that is because that creates greed and FOMO. Because now you're like, oh man, I want that. But you have to build the foundation first to be able to get that, right? So that's how I think about controlling greed, is working on your inner self and giving yourself a stop and just having that control, developing that control. You know what I'm saying? If you're the type of person who you see a yellow light and you like punch the gas, I bet you probably one of the people who be a little greedy on the charts. You know, it's correlations. You notice it, you know. All right, controlling fear. All right, controlling fear. Fear comes from the lack of knowledge in most cases, right? The lack of knowledge or false perceptions or false expectations, right? Kids who are scared of the dark, people who are scared of the dark. You're scared of the dark because of the unknown, right? You don't know what's going to be in the dark. But it's kind of like you can't be afraid of ghosts if you ain't never put yourself in a position where you could become afraid of ghosts. You feel what I'm saying? Like you can't, right? Example is cities, right? Where I stay at now in Michigan is like a suburb. We moved out here. We was like the only black folk. You see somebody black, like, oh snap, I gotta go introduce myself to them. Right. I grew up in Detroit. So it's two different narratives for the suburb we moved into, my family moved into, that's predominantly not black, and Detroit, where everybody black, right? And you know, with different things on the news and how media presents itself, you know, you get a little scared to be out. What up, Bernie? What up, though? From the D. Yo, if you there right now, hit me in my DM on Discord, because I'm out here. So you have that perception of fear because the media has painted this. Yeah, hit me up. The media has painted this whole, you know, Detroit man killed, this person died, whatever, right? And in the suburbs, they don't really do that. Also, it happens less, possibly. And I could tell you from my crime reports that we get out here, it'd be like the crime this week was somebody's cat went missing. Ooh, right? But it creates a fear of going outside at night when you're in Detroit, right? And that's because you don't know what can happen. And now you have this perception that something bad is going to happen. Something bad can happen wherever you at, whenever, right? So going to the market, you have fear if you have started to think that, you know, the market is taking everybody's money, right? The market is, you know, everybody's losing the market. Oh, right. It's creating fear in you. Lack of knowledge because you don't know what to do. Now you're confused and now you have fear because you feel like you're going to mess something up. Right. Instead of acting through fear, develop ways around it. Right. So one, just go back to like the neighborhood example. One is if you're afraid for yourself, you could learn self-defense. If you're afraid for yourself, you could get a piece, right? If you're afraid for yourself, you can go out during daylight. If you think daylight means you're safer, right? You can move out the city, right? There's different routes you can take if you have fear, right? So when it comes to controlling fear in the market, I think the biggest thing is bringing yourself to center, learning the things that you don't know that have you having fear. Yeah, Milena, get a piece, bro. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to use it, you know? But you know what I'm saying? Like once you have that fear under control, then you can move freely, right? Most people act different when they get a piece on. They move freely. You're like, oh, whatever, I got it on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm good, right? And you want to be the same way with the market. So whatever the solution, my point of that example is you don't have to be like, oh, I stay in this area and that means I can't go outside. Oh, the market has a news event today. That means I can't trade. Oh, the market is choppy today, I heard. That means I can't trade. Oh, whatever. No. The same way, if you felt scared to go a certain place, you develop whatever skill set or whatever adjustment needs to be developed or made so where you can go that place and do what you need to do. You do the same thing with the market. Oh, FOMC is today. Okay, well, let me learn how I can trade the volatility if I'm going to trade it, right? You don't have to trade it. Maybe you just don't trade on FOMC day. You don't trade on CPI day. When non-farm payrolls come out, that's not that hard, right? Or you say, okay, cool. So I know FOMC, it usually happens around 2. Okay, so that means I'm gonna find my trades in the beginning of the day. Usually we start losing volatility and volume leading up to FOMC, and then we start seeing some spikes or whatever, and then we get a direction and we continue. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and trade the first hour and be done. All right. Moral of the story is if you have fear, you feel fearful, to figure out a way to get around that fear. What are the alternatives? Is it because you don't know something? Is it because you feel like, other people have put this fear on you, right? Other people have told you that trading is gambling. And so now you feel like trading is gambling. And so now you have a fear of trading because you're fearful of it becoming like gambling, right? How do you get around that? Create a system, right? Cool. Accountability partners. Accountability partners. Game changer. All right. Having somebody who you share your trade log with, you share your trades with, you review stuff with. All right. And we've been doing it more in the group where, y'all are getting on voice channel by yourselves. Y'all are opening Zooms up, right? And holding each other accountable. Where you could say, hey, Milena, you told me on Jordan's Zoom that this year you were focusing on trend lines, or this quarter or this month, you're focusing on developing your skill set with trend lines, right? What trades you take today? Oh, I took that whatever call out, but you said you were doing trend lines, right? Or I took this trade because I saw this strat pattern. Was it a strat pattern with the trend line? Right? And as you develop that accountability, then that's just how this is going to help you get better at what you're doing. Because it's going to remove those excuses because you got somebody that's expecting something from you, right? The easiest person to lie to is yourself. The easiest person to not hold accountable is yourself. Everybody want to hold everybody accountable to everything except for themselves, right? Get you somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Hey, this is how I'm trading. I did that myself. I taught my homeboy how to trade. And I told him how I was trading and all of that. And he was like, yo, you took that trade. That don't follow the system you told me about. I was like, oh, yeah, bro, I know. But it said, but that's not what you said, Jordan. So dang, you right, bro. Right. And you get rid of those occurrences, right? We all sometimes break our rules, but you decrease the amount of times you break your rules. You're going to increase your continuous success, right? So if you need an accountability partner, ask people in the group. And again, ideas, y'all can hop on a voice channel. Y'all can send each other y'all trade logs. We got the member-to-member channel. Like it's channels for everything you could think of, right? So just interact with each other. Cause we all here to help each other win, right? Boundaries. All right. Ty was talking about boundaries earlier. Um, and what she was saying is boundaries with herself with trading, right? Losses boundaries, gains boundaries. I don't want to put a bound. That's just me. Gains boundaries. You might need to, right? What you're comfortable losing, not being greedy, scaling out, allowing people to shift or not shift, right? So having boundaries. Prime example, we were live trading 2 weeks ago. We were live trading with Quinn Pastor. It was me, Quinn Pastor, and Moody, who was on a live trade session. And Quinn got in the trade. We all got in the trade pretty much around the same time. And it started going down. And Quinn said he would have gotten out. And I was like, but that was a funny line. I was like, nah, bro, look, it's going right here, bro. It's good, bro. And it was going down. We were in calls and it was going down. And Moody was like, yeah, bro, this the last level, bro. Nah, look, if we go past this level, yeah, dump that mother. We out of that because it's gonna be nasty. But yeah, bro, like, right? And so ultimately what happened is it came down more, pretty much to the level that we was talking about it coming down to. And where we were in our calls, I know I got in some more calls when it came down. I think Moody added too. But anyway, and then it reversed and went back up and we all exited either break even or with profit, right? And Quinn was like, never again, man. I am never again, never again, never again. I was supposed to get out. I didn't get out. Never again. I stayed in. I made money, but never again. He said it was too stressful. Never again. Never again, right? And the thing about it is while he did make money, right? Quinn has put himself into a scalper mindset. Quinn is a scalper, right? And so with me and Moody, because me and Moody will scalp and day trade and swing trade, right? We just kind of flipped. We're like, okay, this scalp didn't really work as a scalp, but as a day trade, it's valid. So it's gonna be a day trade now, right? So it's just like, yeah, cool. As a day trade, it's cool. I'm chilling, And so having that boundary is what Quinn was saying on hit, and what Quinn was talking about is like, yo, we made money, but I'm not doing that ever again. I'm not holding a trade that long ever again. I would have already had gotten out, whatever, right? So having a boundary with yourself, with your trading, to not let other people influence your trading decision, right, can help you not be stressed, right? So having a losses boundary is major because if you're going in the wrong direction, the answer isn't to revenge trade. That's how you avoid revenge trading. Is, yo, cool. My rule is if I lose 2 trades in a day in a row, I'm done for the day. Like clearly I'm not seeing something right. Clearly my head isn't right. Something's off. I'm just gonna hang it up. And if you size yourself appropriately and you're managing your account fine, 2 losses shouldn't wipe you off the board, right? It should be whatever. I'll just get back at it tomorrow, right? Clear mind, level head, right? So there are times you need to have boundaries and rules for yourself. Certain amount of losses, I'm done. Certain dollar amount that I can lose in a day, right? Certain percentage of my account that I can lose in a day, right? Gains. I'm not one for putting boundaries on my gains, but I think people, unless you can control it, I would say this. When it comes to that, I think if you're on a hot streak, I think you need to take advantage of whatever is going good, but don't allow it to cause you to move outside of your parameters for what you do, right? If I see a bunch of bull flags, I'm going to keep trading them bull flags. I'm not just going to stop because I made $2,000 on the bull flag already. Nah, there go another one right there on Snapchat. Oh, I'm in, right? But don't be like, oh, I'm making money on that, making money on that. Oh, I'm going to hop in this because it look cool. it's like it's gonna go up, right? That's where you need to have that cutoff, and you develop it however you need to develop for yourself. You know yourself better than I know you. I know sometimes I say stuff and y'all like, wow, how did you know it was me, right? Because a lot of it's, typical for traders. But you know yourself and you know what boundary you need to say. If you know that once you make a certain amount of money, you need to just go ahead and stop for the day, then do that. If you know that you can still have control and you say, okay, cool. If I make $1,000 in a day, then I'm just going to take the rest of my trades with the $500. And I'm just going to work that profit and see what comes of it. And regardless, end of the day, even if I end up losing that, I still got the five, right, from the first 1,000, right? So having some sort of goal set, that happens, right? Shauna said ride to 9. I think she's talking about the EMA. Cool. Setting reasonable targets. Setting reasonable targets, right? Setting your targets. Look at the reason you got in. The reason you got in the trade should be pretty much the same reason you got out the trade, for the most part, right? As you develop your skill set, you're going to notice different things that can help you have, your targets, right? Looking at resistance levels, highs, openings, closings, whatever, right? Having those target set, pivot points, however you do it. But the easiest way to have a reasonable target is, wink, wink, having that trade log and being able to look at from the past what creates reasonable targets. Certain strategies you have set up to give you huge gains, right? The MSC indicator, I'm still trying to figure out how to set targets for it because it gets you in the move and the move explodes. And so when I was testing out targets for it, I was looking at it, I was like, dang, bro, you would have got out here and it just would have, right? And so that's how somebody also was mentioning like scaling, is you can have levels for scaling. But your targets are usually going to be price-based, right? Have your price-based target. Have a target that's based on price. You can do percentage if you find, based on your statistical results from your trading, that percentages provide you with the results that you want. However, going purely off percentages means that you're completely missing the point of the chart, and you'll be getting out of your calls while it's doing a bull flag breakout just because you went up 10%. And so then that's when you look back and you're like, dang, I got out and it went up 500%, but I got out at 10%. Right? Patience. Dang, I had a lot. Patience. Again, characteristic of the individual. People who are impatient people are impatient on the charts. People who are patient people are patient on the charts. Thing that Zay used to say all the time is let the trade come to you. Right? Thing that I say all the time is I trade the market don't trade me. Right? Moody, you got a saying like that, bro? You probably do. Trade the 2-1-2. If it ain't 2-1-2-1, don't trade it. Right? But you know what I'm saying? Like, have something like that where you're like, yo, I'm not pressed to get into a trade right this second. Right? I'll say actionable signals. Bam. Right? Like that's what I would say Moody's thing is like you'll hear actionable signal, actionable signal, actionable signal. Right? So when you're taking a trade, it isn't because there's candlesticks. But there is what's called an actionable signal or an actionable candlestick that acts as your trigger for the actual trade. And without this trigger, we don't get in the trade, right? The strat has the patterns. That's why he trades the strat, is because those candlestick patterns give you your stop loss, they give you your profit target, and you have your entry predetermined. And if it doesn't trigger, you don't trade it, right? So you have patience when you trust, cool, I know how this works. This is my strategy. When this happens, this tends to happen. So I'm just going to wait for X to happen. If X happens, then Y has an 80% chance of happening. Cool. I'm trying to get Y, right? Let it come to me. There's so many tickers. There's so many hours of the day, so many minutes of the day if you're a scalper or a day trader. right? Where we don't have to just get in a trade just because it exists, right? Just because the stock's there, right? So that's why I think about patience. Just comes in, letting it come to you, setting those alerts, right? If you don't have Trading View, you don't have to have Trading View Premium, but I think the Pro version might be $30 a month. If if you feel comfortable, I would get the Pro version of Trading View. That's why I got it in the first place. Um, I was like, I'm gonna set alerts because I know that there's a bunch of different stuff I'm setting up. I make my weekly watch list, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm not getting in nothing if these don't trigger. So I'm off the charts unless these trigger. These trigger, boom, I'm acting, right? So that's how you start developing that patience more. Consistency. Cool. Consistency. Consistency again, like number 3. All right. You can't get consistent results with inconsistent actions. How do you get consistent results? Consistent actions. Consistent inputs give consistent outputs. Right. Um, that's it, right? So let's not complicate anything. That's not complicated, right? If you want to consistently, I don't even know how to say it other than that. It's not complicated. It's consistency. You just do the same thing over and over again. That's it. You consistently eat, you will consistently be full. You consistently work out, you'll consistently gain strength. You consistently sleep, you'll consistently feel rested. Right? Like that's it. And that's what I'll be saying. Like trading ain't that hard. You just gotta stop thinking about it as some complicated thing and just be like, oh, okay, cool. What does consistency mean? Right? If I consistently show up for these Zoom classes that these people are teaching, then I will consistently have more knowledge about trading. Input, output. If I am inconsistent with my trading education, I will have inconsistent knowledge. I will not be consistent with my development as a trader, right? It's simple. So when it comes to consistency, that's where you stick to that one thing. Yo, this month, this quarter, whatever, I am just trading whatever. Trend lines, the strat, the Elliott wave patterns, a pattern in Elliott wave patterns, a pattern in the strat patterns, whatever it is, right? Whatever. And through that, you start to see, okay, so this is how I'm working this, right? Okay, cool, bet. All right, cool. Right? That all that was all that meant was I'm piecing it together. This is making sense. Okay, I can see how this works. All right, done. Okay. So that's how you get consistency. You have to do this. You have to stick with it. You have to stick with it. You can't develop consistency by being inconsistent. So just pick something, stick with it, give yourself a timeline, log the results, and then you can see for yourself, hey, this didn't work, or hey, this did work. Right. And nothing's going to work perfectly the first time. That's why you're focusing on that one thing so you can dive deeper into it and get to the result. Right. Cool. Goal setting. Whew. Goal setting. Here's what I think. I think goal setting is good because it gives you a target. But I think the other part of goal setting that we miss out on is that it's more about the habit setting to get to the goal, right? And if we could set the habits, then the goal kind of becomes simple. Like I was saying earlier, right? If I'm trying to be a profitable trader, let me think in the mind of a professional trader. What do I think a professional trader would do? Would they jump into this trade just because Moody called it out? Nah, they would probably look at the chart. They would see it as an idea and they would look at the chart. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. All right. What a professional trader do? This trade hit my stop loss, but I feel like it could come back up. What do I think a professional would do? Oh, well, if it hit the stop, probably would get out because it hit the stop. I set the stop knowing that it was a stop. Right? So when you're doing that, That's when you're like, okay, all right, you're building the habits, you're building the thought processes that are going to get you to the goal. Instead of being so set on, okay, I got to make 15,000 this month. That's my goal. That means I got to make 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000. Do the math. 4.25K per week in a 4-week period. Nah, that's gonna give you 17. Anyway, right. Right. And so now I got to make 4K this week, which means I got to get this percentage of return on my account right now. And if I miss this one day, well, now I got to make the money up today from the miss that I had yesterday. Right. But you get yourself in the process of, okay, how should I view this? How would I think about this? What's the best way to assess the situation? Okay, cool. This is what makes sense to do. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Right. And you start moving towards that goal that you originally wanted, because now your goal of being a profitable trader, you're going to get there because you're thinking and creating the patterns of profitable traders. Right. So that's goal setting. Right. We ain't even talk about smart goals, but just become the person that you want to be. What does a profitable trader do? What does somebody who's in shape do? Would they eat this cake right now? Maybe just a slice, small slice. All right, whatever the case is. All right, but you think like that and you're going to put yourself closer to your goals. Remove fear. We already talked about that. Become more knowledgeable, you become less fearful. All right. If somebody runs up to you on the street and you have the knowledge that you have a gun, you're probably going to be a little less fearful. Or if you know jujitsu or judo or Krav Maga or whatever. All right. You've developed the knowledge that can give you a level of certainty that you don't need to be fearful in the situation. You develop an understanding for how to trade with the trend. You are not fearful in trending markets. No one's fearful in trending markets because it's just going one direction. It's not hard, right? People are fearful in consolidation because they never learned how to trade consolidation. People who have learned how to trade in consolidation are not fearful of consolidation. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. Moody don't like trading in consolidation. Whatever. Right? But it's just like that. That's all it is. People who don't know how to fight are scared of fighting. If they knew how to fight, they wouldn't be afraid to fight. Right? Cool. Just afraid. Not that you won't fight, but just that you're not afraid to fight. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's how you remove fear. You become knowledgeable, you develop a skill. If you develop a skill to fight, you will not be afraid of somebody trying to fight you. Right? Discipline. That's again individual based. Become an individual who practices discipline. Start with something simple. Start with something easy for yourself. Get into the habit, whatever. Create a system, create a routine. It's really not that hard. The funny thing is when you do it to test yourself and then it becomes a habit. I have some habits that are a little weird, but I did those habits to create discipline in myself to say, hey, every day, the first thing I'm going to do is X, right? And so I've trained my mind to be like, all right, cool. Regardless, this is the very first thing that I do or whatever. Before I eat, I do this, right? And if you start doing those things, whether you're a person who's a make the bed person, some people are raised like that. Whether you're a person who is like, first thing I do is I roll out of bed, I go brush my teeth, wash my face, right? Whatever it is. You create your habit and you create that discipline with yourself, and then it starts becoming second nature, right? You don't think about it now, right? Some people in here, the first thing they do when they wake up is they check Instagram, they check Twitter, they check Facebook, right? You've created that habit for yourself, right? And so now it's second nature. Some people, they get in the car, first thing they do is put their seatbelt on. I'm not one of those people, unfortunately. All right. But I can be. All right. And so when you do that and you create those patterns, you create those rules and you hold yourself to it and you get into that flow, you can build a habit, right? And now it's when I'm trading, I don't get in until I do this. When I'm trading, this is the first thing I do. First thing I do is I check the news to make sure ain't nothing crazy going on. Right? But you start developing those things And now you have discipline coming in that's a lot easier for you to maintain. Cutting losses. Oh, cutting losses. Biggest thing is cutting when it's short, letting losers run, right? Cutting losses is as simple as this. This how I always tell folks. Now, I always put it like this, and then folks be like, oh, that's crazy. That makes so much sense. Sorry if this triggers you. Hopefully it don't. If you are if you are dating two people and one person and one person is doing everything right, they are treating you in your love language, they are being respectful to you and your family, they are whatever, taking you out, making sure you're accommodated, blah, 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 doing all the things. And then there's a second person who they don't open the door for you, woman, you know what I'm saying? They don't open the door for you. You pull up to the gas station, maybe you was driving, you pull up to the gas station, they don't get out to go put the gas in, right? All right, you know, whatever. They doing stuff, they might talk to you a little crazy. One person, y'all get into a disagreement, y'all have a nice conversation to resolve it. The other person, they start arguing, yelling, getting loud. And you're like, man, I don't know who I should choose, right? You cut the person that's bad for you and stick with the one that's good for you, right? It's the same thing with trading. So don't be in an abusive relationship with yourself with trading where you're holding on to the abusive trade and letting go of the good trade. Let the one that's good keep being good to you, keep feeding me, right? And then the one that's bad, cut it. Moody, they asking about Greeks and you talking about playing right over wrong. So recap, run through real quick. Starting your trading year right. Lovely trade log. Log your trades so you can see what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, how you can create more consistency in what you got going on. Steady trade system. Have a process for what you do, right? When I'm trading, I am taking this type of trade based on this percentage of my account. I am risking this amount of money, right? You should have that clearly defined. Like next Zoom, we should be able to be like, bet, Greg. Next Zoom, we should be able to say, hey, let's go around the room. What is your trading system? What is one trading system that you have? What is one process you have? Okay, I look for PMG setup. Like this might be something Moody would say. I look for a PMG setup on the 1 hour. I take it down to the 15, and then I look for, an inside bar breakout or a 212 or a 313 or whatever, right, on a smaller time frame to carry me into my PMG on a bigger time frame, and I risk this amount of money, whatever it is, right? But you have to have some process. You need to be able to tell somebody this is how I trade. Otherwise, you don't know how you're trading, right? Can't get consistent results with inconsistent actions. Speaks for itself. And if you want consistency, you have to be consistent. Pause for that one. If you want consistency, you have to be consistent. That's it, right? One new skill, right? You're going to hear a bunch of stuff this year. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff. You're going to find out a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff in the market. You don't need all of it to be profitable, right? But there's always room for you to develop and improve. So whenever you hear something that you think will help you develop and improve upon what you already have going on, focus on that one thing, learn that one thing, become good at that one thing with the mindset of, I want to master this one thing to the point where I can do it second nature. I can do it in my sleep. I can teach a class on it. I can sit on a live trade session for 6 hours and feel perfectly fine because I already know what's going on. I feel confident, right? Right. You don't have to hit 100%. You don't, right? Don't shoot for 100% on your trade. Shoot for the move. Shoot for being correct. Right. I'm looking at this. This is where I think the price is going to go. Cool. Right. The gains will add up. They will. 20% here, 100% there, 500%, 30%. It's going to add up and compound. Your main focus should be, how do I make sure I don't lose no money? All right. Don't lose no money. Control greed, personal development. All right. Becoming somebody who is less of a greedy person. I don't have to get a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to force myself to get more than what I need already. Right. We all want more, but don't want more to the point where it can put you in a spot that's going to be detrimental. Right. Um, it's like betting, right? If you bet $10 and you lose, right? Say your bet's gonna double you up. You bet $10, you was trying to make 20, right? You lose. Well, now if you bet 20, you get your 10 back plus some. If you lose that, now you betting 40, trying to win back your 20 plus the 10 and then some, right? Or you would bet 30 to try to win it all back, right? But at that point, you're betting $40 just trying to break even 70 or when you break even, but you risk too much to get break even. All right. Fear, become more knowledgeable, develop the skill set. You won't have fear of the 1 minute chart if you learn candlestick patterns. It's just candles. All right. It's the 1 minute is just a time frame. It's like driving down the street. Highway, road, avenue, freeway, crossing a bridge is just a street. All right. If you know how to drive and stay in your lane, you should be cool. Right. Accountability partner. Get somebody to hold you accountable to what you say, somebody you can review your trades with. Right. Have somebody that's going to be able to say, yo, this is what I'm doing. And y'all can make sure that y'all are sticking to y'all plans. Boundaries. Set boundaries for your losses. Hey, this is how much I can lose in a day. This is how much I'm going to make before I call it quits. This is how long I'm going to trade per day. I'm not going to be sitting here trading for all day. Setting reasonable targets. Look at price, where it's going and where it's been. They'll tell you a story. All right, make sure your targets make sense. You don't have to shoot for the stars. You don't have to sell yourself short, right? But make sure that things are lining up based on the charts. Patience. Again, let it come to you. We trade the market. The market don't trade us. We don't have to trade every day. We don't have to trade the same chart every day. All right. We can find a setup that we like on some chart and we're going to let it play out. We're waiting on our trigger. No trigger, no trade. So when I see the setup, I need to break and close above this level for me to get in. I need to break this level. I need price to do this before I get in. Price don't do that, I'm not trading it. All right. Because I know when price does this, it's probably going to do that. And that's what I'm looking for, is price to do what I think it's going to do. Right. Consistency. Again, it's repeating the same actions over and over again. That is consistency. If you want consistency with whatever, you just have to find something that will give you that desired result and then do it repeatedly. All right. Consistently trade your trend lines, consistently manage your account, consistently come to the Zooms, right? People who come to the Zooms consistently notice they learn more and they start getting more knowledgeable, and they take these things and they apply them to their trades. And then they're like, yo, I learned this on the Zoom last night. It helped me so much, right? You have a lot of those, you get better a lot quicker. Goal setting. We're not focused so much on the goal as much as we are on the person that would be able to achieve those goals, right? Not focused on how do I make $1 million trading this year, focused on, okay, what are the habits or thoughts that a person who will probably make $1 million trading has? They have more control, right? I need to develop control. I bet you somebody making $1 million in the market has a trading system and a plan for their trades. They are not just getting in randomly. So you shouldn't be getting in randomly, right? Cool. Remove fear. Become more knowledgeable. Again, become more knowledgeable, become more equipped to do what you want to do. You'll be less fearful because you gain confidence through your knowledge. Get more reps, get more practice. All right. Game winning shot on the line. If you're shooting a shot you ain't never shot before, you fearful. If you're shooting the same shot you done practice 30 different times, 40 different times, 400 different times, you good. Right? Doesn't mean you're going to hit the shot, but you're not going to be fearful of hitting the shot. And because you're not fearful and you've gained confidence, you're more likely to hit the shot. All right. Discipline, personal development. Start small, create habits, whether it's in your real life, whether it's in your trading life, whatever it is, have a trigger thing. Before I do this, I will do this. Before I get into a trade, I will look at the trend on a bigger time frame. Before I get into a trade, I will check the RSI. Whatever it is that you do, create your system, create your habit that you know is going to help you out. Cutting losses, right? We don't want to be around toxic people. We don't want to hold toxic trades. We don't want to keep abusive people. We don't want to be in abusive trades. We don't want to continue to interact with people who don't add value to us. Don't stay in trades that don't add value to you. All right. If you see that it's going the wrong way, cut it. Right. They talk about people having red flags. Don't be in the spot where you're like, dang, I knew I should have. Once you see the flag, just cut it. You can always get in the trade again later. If it's going against you and you think it's going to go back up, then get out of it and then wait for a reasonable time to get in it and catch the move up if it's going that way. All right. Cool. Any questions? Put a 1 in the chat if you got a question. And then you can pop that question. But if no ones get put in the chat in the next 5 seconds, I will stop the recording. 5, 4, 3, 2, stop.